Coach, just hit me with your impressions of the first 2 days.
Yeah, obviously about where you think it would be. There was a lot of energy and a lot of excitement on day one, and then you go back and you look, and it's a bunch of MAs on basic stuff, and you review it. 2 was much cleaner. I thought the energy was the same, which was good. Much cleaner from an execution standpoint. We're challenging the guys a little bit, obviously from a conditioning tempo piece in practice, but also from a football knowledge. It's not just run around and hit people anymore. It's a process. It's communication. It's if this then this, and obviously in the beginning it takes them a little while to get comfortable with that. But we were able to see today. You had a little bit of carryover from yesterday. Some of the things we corrected yesterday were corrected today, which is always a positive. It's early, so I'm impressed with their commitment to wanting to be good. I'm impressed with their commitment from wanting to improve. They don't know exactly how to do it yet, so that's our job as coaches to teach them. But a good start. Long way to go, but obviously we're maximizing all the 15 of these days, so we're not trying to go from day 1 to day 12. We wanted to make a small step today, improve some things that we talked about yesterday, which I think we did.
I know it's early, but I'm going to throw it out anyway. Anybody catch your eye? Anybody surprise you that,
No, because as soon as they make a play, you turn around and they're completely backwards the next play. Not in a negative, but the standards are high here, so it's really hard for someone to impress. You see flashes, which is great because then you can show them, hey, this is who you can be, and if you're going to be on this team, this is who you have to be consistently. But I think holistically, there's a lot of guys that are making strides. Obviously some are younger and older. Some played a lot of football before. I think having a bunch of guys that know our systems, that know our process helps, because if you're out there with a guy that knows what's coming or knows what's next or knows what the communication is, he may be able to save you. So those are some good things. But I think, when you talk about guys that stand out, there's flashes here, there's flashes there. We're looking for the consistency. I think, after the first week, we'll be able to say, okay, this guy's put a good week together. He got better from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. So we're still evaluating, but impressed with a lot of guys from flashes standpoint. But flashes don't win games. You got to be consistent.
Seen a lot of practices here. There's just in the brief time I was out there, kind of a little different vibe. No music going on, no jawing going on, very business-like.
Yeah.
Talk about a Charles Huff practice.
Yeah, if we got to play music and get you excited to play a game you love, you're at the wrong school. There's no music when you start training for the Navy SEALs. They don't go out and train with iPods in and their favorite playlist playing. You're going to war, so you got to have your mind processing on exactly what I need to do. You've got to get yourself ready to perform. If you need Little Baby or Jason Aldean to get you ready to play, this is not the program for you. We don't do a bunch of talking with each other. That's your teammate. So dogging your teammate does nothing for you. I've never seen a team play better because they talk more trash. I've seen a team play better because they execute better, and typically execution comes from mental focus, mental intensity on the task at hand. So it's been that way for me for a while. I'm not against those schools that do it, to each his own. But we don't need music to get us ready to play the game we love. If you love the game, I don't need music to get me ready to see my wife and make her happy and hug my kids. So does it have a place? Yeah, I think it has a place, but not in this program.
Makes a lot of sense, directly relatable to the discipline I saw your team play with here last year at the Rock. Just walking around a little bit, just one of the things that stood out to me is some athletic length, some DNs. I think you already have some nice tackle bodies, nice tackle skill sets. You kind of speak to those guys a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, big people fight big people in boxing for a reason. So we don't recruit little guys because it's hard for them to do multiple things. When you have no, don't get me wrong, there are some guys out there who have some special talents. But the bigger, the longer, the more length, the more girth you got, the harder it is to be moved or to move someone. So we try from a recruiting perspective to recruit big. We can't make players taller. We can make them faster. We can make them quicker. We can put them in different positions where their athleticism has an advantage, but we can't say, hey, we need you to grow an inch, so you can play the ball in the air a little better. We need you to grow an inch so you can, have more spatial awareness. So our recruiting philosophy is to try to recruit as big as possible. That doesn't mean there's not going to be some guys that are outside the norm, but we try to recruit length and size as much as we can.
To that as well, last couple of years our O-line's probably averaged 325, 330 across. Don't see that here, and I think it's a good thing. I look at your guys like 295 to 315 across. Kind of speak to that and the added athleticism.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit. You're catching us in the middle of a transition. The winter phase is about shaving off the unwanted weight so we can build it back the right way. We'll be closer to that 305, 315 world by the time we get to August, but we wanted to shave some of this, unnecessary weight off of guys so they can move more efficiently. And then we put it back on the right way through our nutrition program. We put it back on through the strength and conditioning program with BA. And I'm not saying that we're, creating monsters or anything, but if a young man can lose, 10 pounds of fat and replace that with 3 or 4 pounds of muscle, he'll feel better. He'll move faster. He'll move more efficiently. He'll stay healthier, protecting himself. So those are some of the things that, when we talk about our phases, those are some of the phases that we kind of go through. Obviously, when we get closer to the season, we'll start putting some of that weight on. They would have had, 6 months, almost 4 or 5 months to really develop their bodies the right way from a nutrition standpoint, from a weight room standpoint. And hopefully we can get them, by August to be moving at their optimal size and speed.
Last question, with installs, how many would you like to get in this spring, or are you just looking to go through one time or multiple times?
No, we'll get them all in. I think, like I say, the games change. You're usually by practice 8, 9, you usually have gotten all your installs in, and now you're starting to have your one-offs or your adjustments off of. So we'll probably be close to done installing by 8 or 9, and then we'll start reviewing. Because what you want to do is you want to get it all in, and then you want to start to see how much they retained. And then when you go into the summer, you know where to start from the next time. So we'll get to, practice 8 or 9, and we'll probably be done with the install. Obviously, we'll still have, 4 or 5 more practices to be able to kind of, a slight adjustment, different formation, a different call, a different personnel grouping. But you'll be able to see who's able to retain in those 4 or 5 practices versus installing all the way up till 15.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man.